Welcome back, Space Cadets, to another episode of Fast Five. Well, let's get to it.
As we delve back into Marvel Madness, our second character that we're spotlighting is Iron Man, or Tony Stark. One of the first 5 founding members of the Avengers, if you remember, Hulk, Ant-Man, Thor, and the Wasp. They initially gathered together to defeat Loki, Thor's brother, in the Avengers issue number 1.
We're going to start things off with Fast Fact number 1.
A little over 10 years ago, only die-hard comic book fans would have known about Iron Man and Tony Stark. With these initial movies from Marvel, they propelled Tony Stark and Iron Man into the spotlight and making him become more well-known, or as well-known, as Spider-Man, a Marvel counterpart, and then even touching in the DC universe with Batman and Superman.
Kicking things back off with Fast Fact number 2.
So in the movie, it's interesting to talk about the origin story of Iron Man, the Iron Man suit, and how Tony Stark embodies what the character known as Iron Man becomes. And so in the movie, we see Tony Stark as a prisoner in the caves of Afghanistan building the number 1, Iron Man suit. In the comics, however, it kind of takes a different start where Tony Stark builds the first Iron Man suit in Vietnam, and then later on in the comic lore builds it in the Gulf War. And so if we look at the origin story of the Iron Man suits, the Iron Man character itself, and how Tony Stark embodies all of this, I think it's interesting that we follow kind of our history, American history in war and around the world of how that, those counterparts kind of meld in together. And so initially, in Vietnam, then kind of moving into the Gulf War, where wars have traveled through that, and then most recently in the 2008 when the Iron Man was released, our conflict in war over in Afghanistan. And so it's interesting to see the evolution of his origin story through comic history.
Going right back into things is Fast Fact number 3. Tony Stark owns Area 51. The comics say that it's abandoned and Tony bought it in order to hide the Reality Stone. Going right back into things, we have Fast Fact number 4.
So Jack Kirby and Stan Lee created Iron Man to be the quintessential capitalist hero. If we remember in the first review, kind of deluge into Marvel Madness, we started off with Captain America. And so it's just interesting, in the comics, Tony Stark is trained by none other than the Captain himself. And so it's interesting, Tony Stark wanted to be trained by Captain America because he wanted to be able to fight still outside of the Iron Man suit. And so it became quite good as a warrior even outside of his Iron Man suit.
And to wrap things up, we have Fast Fact number 5. Based off the comics, we see a piqued curiosity by Iron Man for the technologies of the outside world. In this fact, we see that in the comic series, he actually joins the Guardians of the Galaxy in order to explore those new technologies, leaving the Avengers behind.
I think it's also interesting to know as we kind of delve further into Marvel Madness and explore the characters and the universe that Marvel Studios created. It's interesting to remember that, this film coming out, Avengers Infinity War, is a 10-year project and a movie decades in making. And so if we look at it, the Iron Man movie was a huge gamble originally for Marvel Studios because back in 1996, we don't really think about this anymore because of their success, most recently in the present mind, but in 1996, Marvel filed for bankruptcy. But with endorsing this, movie and kind of putting everything into this superhero franchise, Iron Man, which made $500 million in the box office, really started them on this journey for the cinematic universe. And so as we kind of wrap up this segment on Iron Man, the next one coming out to you will be a beloved God himself, Thor, coming straight from Asgard to you. And so this Wednesday, check out the Thor Spotlight, and then the following week we'll be delving back into Marvel Madness again with 2 other insights into the characters. And so as Space Cadets and Space Explorers get ready to venture back out into the universe, we are Gramps.
I'm Octopus.
Super Saiyan.
Saying see you later, Space Cadets. We're over and out.
Space Cadets. Welcome back, Space Cadets.
Look at that.